may have been suppressing that may also be the source of some of her pain.
What do you do when you love your wife so much and she's always unhappy? Why would she be unhappy? Why? You tell me. Give her a hand. Did you ever have a nickname as a child?
Kez.
And when you think about Kez, what do you think?
Someone that's fun and happy.
I wonder how I knew that. So Kez, I'd like to speak to Kez for a moment. Now Kez, that other woman stood up and started to cry immediately over nothing. And you know it's over nothing. I want to speak to Kez, not the other part. I'll come to the other part, don't worry. I'll come visit her too. So am I speaking to Kez? Good. That's who I want to stay with for right now. I'm asking the part of you that feels happy for no good reason. The one that's not been running the show for a long time, but you used to. Am I right? What stage of life did you run the show, Kaz?
Oh, up until I was about... up until about 1999, 2000, I ran the show.
Okay, good. Listen, give her a hand for that laugh. You hear that laugh? How old was she at that age, Kez? How old were you at that stage? Better yet, Kez, how old are you really? You, Kez, not her, you. You're a certain age. Tell me what age you are. Just tell me what age you really are. In you, the stage of life, the age of life that you are.
25.
Yes, that's right. 25. That's right. And how alive do you feel, Kez?
When I'm
just talking to Kez. Kez, how alive do you feel, Kez?
alive, yeah. Good. Very happy.
Very happy. So 25, and Kez, you were running the show till 2000. How old did she get at 2000?
55.
She got a 55, yeah. That's what she became emotionally. And how old was she physiologically at 2000?
I was born in 74, so what's that? 84, 94, 26.
26. Okay. But she became 55. This 55-year-old who took over in the year 2000, what's her name? Give me a name for her.
Agnes.
Agnes. Good. I thought so. So there's Kez, and then there's Agnes, who took over at 55. Now, tell me something. Well, first of all, can you tell me one thing? What's your job to give? And we're going to call this energy that is you, all these parts together. Who is that woman? Give me that woman's name, the name you would call her, the spirit or soul.
Selena.
Selena. And is that a given name or a name that you just know is the essence of the soul?
It just came to me.
When you think of Selena, what do you know? Selena is what? Tell me who she is.
She's strong.
She's strong.
She's positive.
She's positive.
She knows her direction.
She knows her direction.
She's fun and happy.
She's fun and happy. Have you met Selena? When you guys first met, who were you dating when you first met? Was it Kez or Selena or Agnes?
I would say it's a combination of Kez and Selena.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Thank you. So Selena is your soul.
Interesting. She's fiery as well.
Oh, she's fiery as well. Good. I almost left that one out. So she's fiery, and she's fun, and she's happy. She's strong.
Strong, yeah. Positive. Happy.
And positive. Okay, so Now, I want you to notice something, that Selena has a blueprint that will always make life great. Every man and woman, pay attention right now. Every man and woman in this room, this is going to be your lesson. The quality of your relationship is the quality of your state, moment to moment. You can change that moment to moment. Long term, it's being controlled by your blueprint. The blueprint of the beliefs, values, and rules you have. But here's the challenge, ladies and gentlemen. There's an illusion that you have one blueprint. Actually, you have multiple personalities. And if you have a woman, you have many multiple sets of personalities. And you met one or two of them, or three or four of them, and you combine them into one thought. And then some of you keep selecting and connecting with another part of them without realizing it. And you go, what happened? They changed. They didn't change. You're just connecting with a different part of them. Or something did change. In the life condition, something changed. And so as a result, this person had a different part of them start to take over. If they're happy, that part is a more developed part. If they're unhappy, it's a more immature part or an older part. And did you ever notice that when some people get older, they get less mature? Is it true? They get more bitchy, cranky. They almost like, when a child is born, if they don't get what they want, how do children respond? People say children are so loving. Are babies so loving, really? No. If they don't get what they want, what do? They cry, they scream, they grimace, they put ugly looks on their face. They'll spit on you. Is it true? They'll smack you. Will they smack you? If they don't get what they want, they'll do whatever it takes to get what they want, and they don't give a damn about anybody but whom? Themselves. But as we mature, there gets a point you don't get rewarded for that behavior, and you have to adapt. And some people adapt into pleasing, and some people adapt into achieving, and some people adapt into learning, and some people adapt to having the philosopher's understanding, and some people adapt into being funny, and some people adapt into creating problems, and some people adapt into having problems. But eventually, what some people do as they get older and older, they don't get wiser. There's a stage in which they get more and more cranky and more bitchy and more rules and more expectations. See, what makes you absolutely immature is too many expectations. The more blueprint expectations you have, the more rules you have, the more unhappy you're going to be. It doesn't matter who you are. And as people get older, very often they expect that this new stage should be easier than the last stage, when life doesn't really give something whether you think it's easier or not. Life doesn't give something whether you're happy. That's your job. Life gives something, only one thing. You grow and you give something out of that growth. Because you grow or you what? That ain't my rules, those are the rules of the universe. Everything in the universe grows or dies. And you contribute or you're eventually what? Eliminated. Evolution will do that, if nothing else. If you're no longer contributing in a significant scale to something larger than yourself, even larger than your species, you're out of here. So when we have this delusion that says as time goes by, we've earned the right to have people just do things for us, serve us, or we've been in a relationship so long that our expectations have changed. We shouldn't have to attract them anymore. We don't have to innovate anymore. We don't have to market. We don't have to keep finding new ways to meet their needs. I'm meeting their needs. If you meet the same needs of a customer over and over the same way, after a while, just out of variety, they look for somebody else who's going to meet their needs. And if you don't market, you could be meeting their needs, but if you don't market, what does marketing do? It makes someone want to seek you out. Marketing attracts them to you. If you don't innovate and market, you're not going to have a raving fan. But as people get older, they get more and more expectations, and they get harder and harder to be with. And then they go, well, I'm just set in my ways. Or, you know what? No one can handle me. You can't even handle you. The only time you're happy is when you do something you can control that makes you significant. Certainty and significance tend to rule someone at that stage of life. In one order or the other. Significance first, certainty second. And underneath that, then if those two are met, they can have love. A safe love, a certain love. Love of children. Love of some friends. Love of some colleagues. But you're just gutless. Because what you've been is reinforced all along the way. And now you're at this place where you have these expectations, your blueprint, you're miserable. So a different part of you is running the show. You can talk to somebody who's 75 years old and set in their ways. They've got a Selena somewhere inside. And if they tap into it, the game changes that fast. They also have a Kez. So remember I said the first day, we put that circle, we said here is all of relationship, starts with a triangle. Base, know what you want, what you need, what you want and what you don't want, and be crystal clear about the kind of person you got to be to attract that. Remember that? Second, once you find and select somebody, know what it is they want and need, their desires, their fears, everything about them, their blueprint. And then get addicted to meeting their needs, where that fills you up. It's no longer, what am I getting? What makes children live is because we get addicted to meeting their needs without any appreciation whatsoever. A little grin and a little drool. And we're like, look at that. Because your blueprint for a child is, we're supposed to be the givers. And any little reception that we get is a victory. If you kept that blueprint for your intimate relationship, it would be the most amazing thing on earth, because it would all be about you growing and you serving them. Me grow, I'm going to serve you. Make sense? So it works. So here we have this woman, Selena. Hi, Selena.
Hello.
How you been?
Good.
Good.
Thank you.
You've been hibernating, I understand.
Oh, very much so.
Yes, I understand. I understand. And tell me something, Selena. What is the purpose of this woman, of this soul that you are? What's she here to just be and do and give, do you think? Just your first reaction, Selena.
Oh, to create desire.
To create desire. Oh, let's have a hand for that, ladies and gentlemen. Holy, to create desire. And what happens when you create desire, Selena?
Passion.
Passion. So your job is create desire, which leads to passion. And when there's passion inside of you and those you love, what's life like?
Oh, just phenomenal.
Yeah. Now, tell me something. You like Kez?
Ah, yes. Yeah, I do very much.
Tell me a little bit about Kez, from your perspective, Selena.
Oh, she's a fun girl.
Yeah.
She's a little bit of a tease.
She's a little tease. Oh, good. Fun. She's a tease. So does she help you with this attraction, this energy, this creating this desire?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Well, good. And can she lead to passion?
Yes.
Is she
yes.
she can pull some of that in? Mm-hmm. Great. Tell me about Agnes.
Oh, dear me. She's very boring.
She's boring.
Yes.
Okay. What else can you tell me about Agnes besides the fact she's boring?
She's very subdued and inward.
Subdued, inward.
She's tiring.
She's tiring.
Yeah. And tired.
And tired. I'll tell you what. Every part has a purpose and has an intent. And so I'm just wondering, would you give me permission to have some direct conversations with Agnes? I've already chatted with Kez. I know she's open. I know you are too. But would you give me permission to talk with her? Because I'd like just to have a direct, honest conversation with her, because I know she's tired. And if she's tired, there's a reason. And I want to help her. Because if we help Agnes, you know, and Kez, and the rest of the sisterhood that's all inside you, could all have a much better time. And if you had a better time, your radiance would touch everyone. Your man, your life, the world. Is that what you're here for? It sure looks like it from what you told me.
Oh, definitely, definitely.
So could I talk to Agnes?
Okay.
All right. I know she's a little scared. Will you, before I talk to her, will you go visit her for a second, let her know that I'm not going to hurt her? Let her know that it's safe. Mm-hmm. Let me know when she lets you know that it's okay for me to talk to her. Let her know you'll be right beside her, so you don't have to trust me. You'll protect her too.
Mm-hmm. I know, yeah.
But search your soul and see whether you need to protect yourself from me or not.
I don't need to protect.
Okay, well, let her know that so she knows. Because it's scary for her. Mm-hmm. That's what this is really all about. So can I talk to her now?
Yeah.
So would you just step just a little bit over here? Just move. That's all I need. Just to get out of Selena and step into Agnes. Am I speaking to Agnes now?
Yes.
Yeah. And Agnes, I understand you took over in 2000, 99, 2000. Mm-hmm. Been running the show ever since.
Yep.
Yeah. Selena thinks that you're tired.
Yes, very.
Very tired.
Yeah.
Why are you tired? Can you tell me?
Just overwhelmed, I think, with just such being always sad all the time.
Yeah, yeah. And you've been sad for a very long time, huh, Agnes?
Yeah. And lonely.
And lonely. So you felt sad, and you've been feeling lonely, and you're feeling tired. Mm-hmm. Now, you've got a sister over there named Kez.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about her.
Oh, she's fun.
She's fun.
I miss her.
You miss her?
Yeah.
She used to do what for you, Agnes? What did she used to do for you?
She used to make me free. I used to feel like I could do anything and be anything. I didn't have any fear when I was her.
Give her a hand. Yeah. By the way, who just answered me?
Probably Kez.
Yes, I know. So, Kaz, I appreciate you jumping in. I think that's a good thing in life, but I need to talk to Agnes again.
Okay.
So bring back Agnes just for the moment here.
Okay.
So I want Agnes to be taken care of. Mm-hmm. And the only reason she's sad and lonely and tired is because she has a purpose, and she may have lost track of whether it's working or not. So, Agnes, tell me, what do you do to Selena, to the unified soul here? What do you do? What's your job?
Well, I feel like I've been kicking her down.
You've been what? Say it again.
I've been kicking her down.
You've been kicking her down.
Yeah.
Now, you couldn't kick down Selena, but you might have kicked Carrie down. Mm. Is that true?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So you've been kicking Carrie down, because Selena wouldn't put up with it.
Yeah.
Would she?
Yeah.
Am I right? Mm-hmm. So tell me, why have you been kicking Carrie down? What's been your intent? Because I know there's a positive intent behind behavior that even looks, harsh or mean. I know you're not harsh or mean. Why have you been kicking Carrie down? What has been your purpose? What were you made for? You, Agnes. Just Agnes. Stay Agnes for me.
I think as Agnes, I was made for some sort of balance.
That's right. Give her a hand for that. That's fantastic. And what were you trying to balance?
I was trying to balance crazy and wild to being normal.
Oh, that's where you made the mistake. Yes, look at that. Look at that. Normal. Is Kez normal?
No.
No. Is Selena normal?
No.
No. So this soul is not normal. Is Carrie normal?
No.
But you've been trying to make Carrie normal.
Yeah. Well, I think people want me to be.
You or Carrie?
Well, I think Agnes has been making Carrie into what she thinks people want her to be.
Oh, so Carrie thinks she needs to be normal. Is that the part? Or is it you, Agnes? Which part thinks she should be normal? Just so I'm clear.
I think Agnes thinks that Carrie should be normal.
That's right. So let me stay with Agnes, because I just watched you switch. You just switched back and forth. Who was I just speaking to a moment ago? Was that Carrie? Just a second ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that. So, guys, now you know why your hands are full, okay? I was like, okay, I'm talking to Carrie a moment here, then I'm talking to Agnes. Kez pops in every now and then. Selena's out here hanging out. So Carrie thinks she needs to be normal. No, it's Agnes that thinks Carrie needs to be normal.
Yeah.
Carrie popped in to give me a little feedback. So I'm going to stay with Agnes for a moment. She's the one that deserves some support right now, because actually almost all the sadness inside has become because one part has been running the show. And this idea that we're one personality is culturally conditioned so that human beings can have certainty. So a woman meets a man and he treats her really nice and he's a nice guy. She meets a man who's really mean and he's a jerk. But she never bothers to see, does he treat all women that way? She assumes he does and looks for ways, and we'll see that he treats all women that way, but if you watch closely, he doesn't. The guy that's a jerk is a total love for a different type of woman. Because she connects, she selects and connects a different part of him. Anytime two people meet, a third world is formed, unlike any other world that exists. I can take you and put you with somebody else, you'll be a different person. Because you'll call out different parts. When you first meet somebody, you meet one or two of these personalities, and you go, that's that person. And they got all these other parts of them that show up later in different life conditions or in a different stage of life. And they all have a really good purpose. But because they're not being reinforced or acknowledged, you don't understand it. Listen, when a child doesn't get attention for doing something good, someone tell me what that child will do. Something bad. Aren't adults just big children? Emotionally? Most of us under stress. The minute the tension comes in, tell me what age starts to run the show. What age of mind? It's 2 million years old, but it's a child. It's in survival. Give me what I want, or I what? Take it, yell, scream, cry, try to hurt you. Isn't that what children do? Right? So Agnes here just needs some understanding. So Agnes, you felt she needed balance. And you started thinking that around 1999, 2000?
Yeah.
Okay. And what happened in 99, 2000 made you think, holy cow, I better step in here and get Kez and Selena balanced? And by the way, who's the wild one in her? What's her name? Because I haven't met her yet. I mean, the really, look at him. Look at his whole state changes. He's wiggling around in his chair. Who's the wild one? What do we call her?
Chrissy.
Chrissy. Chrissy. Agnes, tell me about Chrissy. No, not Kez. I see Kez is like, Chrissy's out. She's going to come out. I can feel it. We're going to be able to play again. Selena's like, yeah, Chrissy. You can hear in the back, Chrissy, Chrissy, Chrissy. You can hear it all going on in the background all the time. Agnes is freaking out. Don't let Chrissy out. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Agnes, you tell me your perspective on Chrissy first. I want to hear your perspective. Chrissy, she's a little what? Come on, just say it. I know, it's okay, we're amongst family. She's a what?
Little slut.
That's right, she's a little slut. I knew we'd find her. A little Chrissy slut. That's right. Look at his face. Look at that. I haven't seen that big a smile on his face the entire week. Look at that. Look at that. Give him a hand, ladies and gentlemen. Do you know Chrissy? Have you two met?
Very, very, very early on.
Yes.
I'm not sure he's ever really met Chrissy.
Oh!
I don't think he's seen it from afar.
Whoa. Interesting. Now we're getting underneath this, aren't we? He saw Kez when Kez and Chrissy were together from a distance, and then you brought Kez and Selena together when he showed up.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I see. Yeah. Okay. So this little slut, Chrissy, tell me about this little slut.
Ooh.
Look at those eyes. Oh.
Yeah.
The one time a guy wants a meta report. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, she does things that make your hair curl.
Like what? Does things that make your hair curl.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. She's definitely very, very she's free, she's uninhibited.
Oh, wow. And you want to keep her in check. Agnes, is that right?
Yes.
Yes. She's a pretty powerful woman, Chrissy. Mm-hmm. How much energy does she have?
Oh, she has tons of energy.
Yeah. Is she a force of nature?
To be reckoned with.
Okay, a force of nature to be reckoned with. Okay, wow. And so, what happened in 1999 or 2000 that made you think you better step in and take over the show here?
I moved to a new country.
You moved to what?
A new country.
A new country. And Chrissy stayed in the old country?
I think so. Yeah.
What new country did you move to?
The United States from England.
Yeah, because after all, England is where all the Chrissies are, not America. You think England and you think little sluts everywhere. So you came to USA. Mm-hmm. And so what happened when you came to USA? Was it coming to the country that made you take over and want to make sure Chrissy was in check? What was it that made you want to put Chrissy in a check?
I wanted to be accepted.
By who?
By people that I met. I didn't want them.
Was it you that wanted to be accepted, or Carrie did, and you decided this was the way to do it?
Yeah, no, I think it was Carrie that wanted to be accepted.
Okay, Carrie wanted to be accepted. Do we have any more pens? Okay. All right, Carrie wanted to be accepted. Let's see here. Carrie wanted to be accepted. And did she feel accepted when she came to America?
Not at first, no.
By who was she not feeling accepted? Watch. By who?
Probably a bit of myself and my husband.
Not feeling accepted by yourself. Which self was that? Carrie, Selena?
Well, Kez came to mind when...
Kez. Oh, so Kez wasn't... Oh, interesting. So Kez was not accepting Carrie. You all follow that?
That's crazy, isn't it?
So Kez wasn't accepting Carrie when Carrie moved to the USA. Why?
I don't know, I think I thought it had to be a certain way.
What way did Carrie think she had to be?
Responsible and...
Okay, now everyone listen carefully because this is a common pattern. And why did you have to be responsible? But before you tell me, let me tell you about somebody I met. I was doing a date with Destiny. You been to a date with Destiny? Yeah. You know the part where we do people's values on stage, you know? I asked for somebody who's suicidal. And right before I went out to ask, we'd done a stretch break, and somebody rushed up to me and said, read this, you've got to call on this person. And I read the person, and it was the person's buddy. And by accident, they had switched each other's notebooks. And in the notebook was this man's plan to kill himself and kill his children. Yeah. Detailed. So I went, okay. I knew who I'm calling on. His name's Bob. But the man who came up to me said, he's my buddy. And then the man darted back into the crowd because he didn't want Bob to see that he showed me the plan to kill himself and kill his children. And so I didn't know where he was in the room, and I couldn't find the guy. A couple thousand people. And, it's time to start. So I said, okay, well, he'll come out. So I said, as I always do, who here is suicidal? I love suicides. Right? They're my favorites. Come on, who's suicidal? Right? And people stood up, and I went around the room, and as I asked what their name was, I looked for the men in the room. No Bob. went to a dozen people, no Bob. So finally I went to the front of the room. I helped several people, as I always do. And then I went to the front of the room and I said, Bob, where are you? Which Bob? You know which Bob, Bob. There's a Bob in this room who's going to kill himself. He's not standing up. And finally this man stands up about 20 rows back, and I'm picturing the kind of man that would kill his own children. So you make that picture in your mind. And up stands this guy with kind of a roly-poly figure, a graying beard, eyes not twinkling because there's no happiness, but it looked like a sad Santa. And I said, Bob? And he said, yeah. And I said, Bob, I asked for everybody suicidal. You're suicidal, aren't you? He goes, yeah. I said, in fact, you're not just suicidal for yourself, you're going to kill your children. And I said, is it true? And there's a long pause. Everybody turns and looks, right, staring at him, right? And he says, yeah. And everybody's kind of freaking out a little bit. But you look at this man and you could see there's a sadness in him. So we all assume that someone's behaving a certain way. It's because they're angry or they're crazy. But in that moment he wanted to end this life and his children's life, not because he didn't love his children, because he did love his children.
I know, because I'm in that situation. Not that I have any kids, but I know we've talked about this now. But I've been so sad that I wanted to end it all because I just couldn't see him being so unhappy.
Notice the difference you make that you think you don't make. You are so wrong. Look at her face. Look at that. A moment ago, she was talking about killing herself. Now she's smiling. Look at this. Hey, life is all good. She was going to kill herself a moment ago. Now she's happy. What happened here? But look at the difference you make. Am I exaggerating?
No, he makes a huge difference.
Yes. When you go into learned helplessness, when you start thinking, this cannot change, I cannot change it, I am helpless, because 3 P's pop in your head. This problem is permanent. When you believe that, you've just destroyed your capacity to make a difference. No problem is permanent. Only your soul is permanent. No problem is permanent. Only your soul is permanent. The second P that makes you feel helpless is you think it's personal. You think there's something wrong with you. Ladies, you do this faster than anyone. Well, if I was different, if I was this, if I was that, then he wouldn't be this way. No, he's not a hairy woman. He's always going to be this way. It isn't that you're not loving. He isn't not speaking to you in depth because you're not attractive enough, strong enough, or he doesn't trust you, or he doesn't love you. It's because he doesn't speak. Because he's a guy. And those short bursts you get at times are using up all the words he has. It's not that she's not smart or crazy or doesn't want things fixed. It's that she doesn't want things fixed. Because she's a girl, not a beautiful, multitasking, over-emotional man. The third one is you think it's pervasive. You think that this problem affects your whole life. Because your finances are destroyed, your whole life is over. Guess what? It's not. There's a spirit, there's a soul, there's a body, there's family, there's friends. There's a new season ahead. This is only one area of your life. When you start thinking one area affects every area, you will be in learned helplessness. You will be in suffering. Your relationship isn't working out. It's not where you want it to be, and therefore, nothing in your life matters. It's not true. You can break through when you stop thinking it's permanent, personal, and pervasive. And the best way to do that is the secret to it all. Change your frickin', but it's got to be a radical change. It's got to be consistent change. You need a new ritual to do it. Physically, emotionally. It's working out. It's martial arts. It's dance. It's play. It's something. And it's something right now. So there was Bob, standing before me with his little pot belly and his little graying beard. Could have worn a Santa suit. Gonna kill his kids and himself. I said, Bob, kill your own kids? And he said to me, I don't want to. Well, that's good. Then why would you plan to? And he talked about how when he was a boy, his father left and it destroyed him. And he knew that he couldn't stay, so he didn't want them to be damaged and think that he didn't love them because he knew that would destroy them for life, but he couldn't stay, so he was going to take them too and make it painless so they wouldn't live a scarred life. That was what his blueprint said was the way to love his children. There you go, this man's psychotic and horrible, but so I dug underneath it all, and I did the next hour, I did his values and rules. We have it on film. It's quite amazing. And he looked at all his values and rules, and what you began to see was this game was unwinnable in the blueprint he was running. Your relationship is in the position it is because of your state, it's just the conditioning you've done to yourself, and it's there because of your blueprint. And some of you have a blueprint that must change. If you don't change your blueprint, you'll change partners, and you'll end up with the same problem again. Doesn't matter. And then you'll have the next problem. It'll take a little while because in the very beginning you'll have the rush of all the chemistry that happens in those first 3 to 9 months. And then you'll be running the same problems again. Who's done this more than once in your lifetime? Who's left one relationship, ended up another, pretty soon had the same problem? Raise your hand and say, I. That's because you didn't change your states and you didn't change your blueprints. This is the whole game. Which, by the way, what does this all lead up to? State and blueprint are the things that shape meaning. And all of your pain is based on the meaning. All the suffering is in the meaning. Remember? Not a Gary phrase. The suffering is not in the facts. It's in your perception of the facts. Remember earlier this week? Your mother did die. That is not why you're suffering. You're suffering because your perception is, the fact is she died. Your suffering is not the facts. It's the perception of the facts, the meaning. The meaning you gave it is it shouldn't have happened. She shouldn't have gone so soon. Or I've lost her. The meaning is what's messing you up. And the meaning is coming from your state and your blueprint. Change your state, change your blueprint. You change the meaning of your relationship transforms. You, from a different meaning and a different emotion, will treat your partner differently, and that will bring out different personalities in that partner. How many follow? Say I. And if you're coming from an empowering state, you will find the empowered parts of them coming out. If you come from a place that's accusatory, then the one place where they need to be safe, the one person they want to open up to, the one person that made them feel at one time like they were more than what? More than what? Enough. The one person who healed them, that made them feel they were totally loved, that they were enough and they were healed. Now that very person, the one they wouldn't protect from, they have to protect from. And then they do, and you go, see? So with Bob, I did all these pieces, and guess what came out underneath this piece? Bob used to ride a Harley. Bob, big belly Bob, broken down Bob, used to ride a Harley, and he used to take his wife, before she was his wife, and he'd take her silly in a bar across the pool table. This was Bob. People's eyes are this big. That's Bob. Go Bob. Sounds like one of those male enhancement commercials, doesn't it? Bob, this little Bob. They had this light and dark relationship. And she loved it. She loved him taking her. He loved to take her. And then something happened around 1999 or 2000. Agnes took over Bob. Because Agnes decided Bob needed to be more responsible. Because Bob was now married. They got married because they had a kid on the way. And as soon as he had a kid on the way, Bob knew a different set of personalities had to be there because he had to be responsible. So a responsible person doesn't drive a Harley. Plus, his wife made it very clear with children coming, she wasn't going to allow him to drive a Harley. Now, whenever I've heard a woman say, I'm not going to allow my husband to do anything, I think to myself first, what person is going to allow this woman to tell him what he can and cannot do? Share with him so they can talk about it and decide together, but be told? That used to be my judgment. But now I begin to realize I did the same thing in other areas in my previous relationship. They just weren't as obvious. I was willing to not share what I was really feeling so I wouldn't have to go through all the arguments. So I wouldn't have to go through the loss of love. So I just selectively found those things that were my symbols. But there were other areas I was giving it up. And I thought, why? Why would a woman try and tell this man not to ride his Harley, not to do the things that make him feel alive? Why do you do that, ladies? What? That's right. Say it again. To protect him. What part of you wants to protect him?
The part that needs him to protect you.
The part that needs him to protect you. Very nice, sir. Very, very insightful. Give him a hand. Very nice. Give him a big hand. Oh, come on. Give him a big hand for that. The mother will show up to protect him because the mother doesn't want a child to get hurt. And the reason why is your instinct says, this is my protector. If my protector disappears, I'm not protected. So who does that irrationally is the animal. The instinct in this woman comes out, and maybe in the beginning she starts it as a mothering instinct, and then when that's not enough, she goes into rage and anger because she's in survival going, what if he doesn't come back? And guys don't understand this. All they know is I've lost my... And do you ever see Braveheart? Do you ever see a guy with his face half blue? Mel Gibson? Saying what? You can what? You can take our lives. But you can never take our freedom. Notice I didn't have to coach any man in the room on that one. And when you do, under the guise of protecting your future or us or both, and when you do it from an irrational place, which all people do, then some other part of us has to take over. And then suddenly we become the men you don't respect. Because you can control us, like your boy. And then we don't respect ourselves, because we feel a little dead inside. And then the polarity is gone. The man no longer lives that very peace that excited you and brought you to him, but still scares you. You're scared that if he's free, he may not stay. But if you can embrace and love all of him, you will own him. All you have to do is be confident. All you have to do is say, I'm just afraid you're going to die. I couldn't live without you. You'll find he'll drive more safely. If he feels that presence, not nagging. If all you do is radiate love, his freedom will be there, but he will want to share it with you. No one else. Feel it inside and think about what it's like. If he feels your passion, he will hear you. If in the middle of your fear you could open to him, maybe he'll throw you on the back of the Harley and you'll go together. Maybe he can show you that we can be free, because who wants to live this way? I'd rather die on my Harley than live dead inside every day of my life. And then maybe a little fear inside of you will start to disappear. And maybe you'll admire your husband's courage or your boyfriend's courage. That he loves life so much and he has to live it so fully. The adventure has to be there. The challenge has to be there for him to be alive. So he has an energy to give you. And he has the courage to face those challenges. That's his gift to give you. But if you make your rules for love dependent upon him giving up his freedom, if you're successful, then your relationship begins to die. And if you fail, the meaning it will give is he doesn't love me. And the relationship begins to die. Because you will then close. And with that, passion will decline. And then authenticity and radiance, and even your own confidence. And then there'll be no sensual energy, there'll be no sexual energy. And then you'll become a wife and you'll become a husband. And you'll have a good life. Until you don't. So I said to Bob, you used to drive a Harley? What do you do now? Nothing. What happened, Bob? He became a father, and he had a role for a father. He had a part of him that took over that she made very clear, and he began to realize also what he thought a father had to be, and that was unbelievably responsible. There's nothing wrong with being responsible if that's one part of you, but when every part of you is responsible all the time, ladies, when you feel responsibility for everything, everyone, every single moment, it's a little exhausting, isn't it? Then he lost his job. So now he can't support his family. Then he lost his house, lost his home, lost his job, and then his wife wants him to talk about it. She wants a meta report about something that even to think about makes him want to die. And then he thinks he's not worth his wife or his children. And then nothing's working. He's tried several jobs, it doesn't work. And she's screaming at him, yelling at him. He doesn't spend enough time with the children. Why doesn't he have a job? And on and on and on and on. And he finally decides it's time to go. He didn't reveal this plan to her, by the way, and she wasn't in the room. So the first thing I need to do is change his what? I know it sounds pretty basic, my friends, but this is the juice of life. Because meaning comes out of state. And I need to change it now and change it long term. But I start with now. So I said, Bob used to ride a Harley. I said, I need the most attractive 5 women in the room up here, which is the perfect thing to say. They all come up and they start dancing all around Bob. Now, what happens when you take a dead dolphin and you throw a bucket full of fish all over it? He starts bouncing all over the place. He's like having the best time. He's looking all around. Everything is bouncing in his face. I mean, this guy, he looks alive again. Suddenly, life is looking much better than death at this moment. Killing my kids? Are you crazy? No problem. Then we rewired Bob so that he wouldn't just be happy in this moment because he's in a better state, but he would come up with different what? Meanings from now on. And then we anchored those in through the normal process. And Bob was transformed. Bob became the star of the entire week. So 4 or 5 years later, I think 5 years later, I'm in Fiji. I'm with my creative team. Pam Hendrickson was there. And I'm sitting down and I'm starting to write a book. And as I'm working on this book, I start thinking, I want to grab people. People think this is just positive thinking. They don't have a clue. They don't have a clue what we really do. What's a story that I could demonstrate that will grab people in those first few words? And I thought, well, let me just think of, my favorite programs are usually Date with Destiny. What's an example of that? I thought, God, remember Bob? I mentioned to Pam. I said, Pam, we really got to check in on Bob, see how he's doing, what's going on with him. That'd be a great example, great story. And so, Pam, this is no exaggeration. We were in Fiji. We were in the main, basketball area. We used to do the seminars and things like that. She goes back to the room, and there's an email from Bob's wife. 4 years, 5 years, I don't know, but at least 4 years. Yeah. And she comes back, and she's got tears in her eyes, and she says, you got to read this. And like, what? She goes, this is freaky. And the letter's from Bob's wife, and she says, hi, I'm Bob's wife. I don't know if you recall. And she'd written a letter to me right afterwards saying, I don't know what you did with my husband, but he's a different human being. He's alive. He's the guy that before we got married, and he eventually got a job. But most importantly, right immediately, he was different with the kids. He was different with her. Everything was transformed. Thank you. She didn't want him to come, by the way. She said in the first letter that, she thought that this was some guru and he's going to drink some Kool-Aid. That's why she didn't go. But at that point, if he had to go see a guru to get fixed, she didn't care. He never told her. So 4 or 5 years later, here's this letter, and I read the letter, and paraphrasing the letter basically says, Mr. Robbins to Pam, saying, would you please pass this on to Mr. Robbins? Mr. Robbins, I just want you to know I have some bad news. And she said, my husband Bob passed away of a heart attack this last week. And I'm writing to you now because she goes, my heart is, trounced and on and on and on, my children. And she said, but I wanted to write you because I wanted you to know what a difference you made in Bob's life. She said, because for the last 4+ years, she said, we had the greatest time of our entire lives. The children knew their father. She said he was the happiest I've ever known him. And she said, he made me the happiest I've ever been in my life. And so while I have unbelievable sadness, she said, I feel like the woman of Titanic says my heart must go on because I have to for my children. She said, but the gift that you gave, I know he'd want you to know he was always so appreciative of what happened 5 years ago, 4 years ago, when you had that session with him. Whatever you did, just want you to know it made such a difference. I'm sitting there just bawling my eyes out, realizing the simplest things make the biggest difference. Just a little change in meaning. Bringing out another part of yourself. Bringing back a part of yourself. She had no clue what his plan was. Unfortunately, she never had to find out. So that was Bob. Who's this I'm seeing right here with your man right now?
This is Carrie.
Yeah, it is Carrie. I know. How you doing?
I'm feeling good now.
Yes, I see that.
Yeah, feel good. Feel good.
Carrie, can you tell me, you didn't feel accepted when you first moved to the U.S. How come? You thought you had to be really responsible?
Yeah, I thought I had to be responsible, and I was also very lonely.
Yes.
I'd left all my family and friends behind, and I didn't want Kieran to feel bad that, I felt lonely.
Yes.
So, I tried to cover it up.
And Carrie's not good at covering things up.
No, not really.
And Kez is not good at covering things up.
No.
And Selena's not good at covering things up. And Grissy,
No.
no. So Agnes is good at covering things up. So Agnes came in to try and help you balance things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And how did she try to do that? What did she try to focus you on?
Well, being responsible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About what, for who?
About, creating a home for us, being strong for us, supporting Kieran in his career.
Yeah.
She took the fun out of things.
She did. She did. And when she took the fun out of things, though, that wasn't her intent. She was just trying to help you manage and not show your unhappiness so that your family could still thrive.
Yeah, exactly.
So she was actually coming from a really beautiful place. How many get that? Beautiful place. But it kind of went awry because Agnes really doesn't know how to balance. She just knows how to limit. Write that down. Because all of us have an Agnes that we think knows how to balance, but all it really knows how to do is how to limit. And if you limit instead of balance, life feels dead. And most people who have a wild partner get fearful at some point and want to try and limit their partner. And if they do, they kill a little bit of the filling of the spirit of that partner. And some of people's partner that limits them is inside themselves. But then we think our partner, our external partner, is the one that's doing it when it's really an internal partner. And then after a while, we start to resent the external partner for what the internal partner is actually doing, which then makes the external partner crazy. And then eventually that partner starts to behave the way we think that they were behaving when they were limiting us. How often do you beat your wife? Come on, how often do you beat your wife? Look how easy it was to influence him. He doesn't beat his wife. All I got to do is keep asking. He'll eventually find some way to match up with it. And that was my voice. Imagine if it was his. He went from never to within a second question all the time verbally. Whatever you ask for, you're going to find. Especially in uncertainty, because I went straight towards him. He didn't know I was going to come towards him, so that put him in a state of uncertainty. He also really cares and wants to grow. So in that vulnerable place, he's willing to find a way to comply and find some peace that could be perceived in that way. And it's useful to perceive in that way in order to change that pattern. So there are gifts within gifts within gifts. In fact, in every moment, you think that we're talking to these two, but you must know we're not. So, can I get your man to let go of you just for a second? That's so beautiful, but I'm only going to do it because I want him to drink some water. He's dehydrated, and he would never acknowledge it because he's going to be here for you forever. I want to make sure that he's strong. And with him holding you, it's hard for me to get access to Agnes. How many of you see that? I need to come back to Agnes just for a minute. Okay, Carrie? So I'd like to speak to Agnes. And I want you to find Agnes physically inside you and sit the way Agnes would sit too. Now, come over here for a second. Stay, Agnes. Come over here for a second. Look at me. Agnes. You recognize Agnes, don't you? Okay. So from now on, you know when you see that, that's not your wife, that's Agnes. Hey, Aggie, 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 Aggie. That's what I would do. Hey, Aggie, Aggie, Aggie. And see, Agnes needs a little help because Agnes thinks she's balancing and trying to be normal. Is Carrie normal? Are you normal? Hell no. Is Carrie normal? What do normal people's lives feel like, everyone here?
Boring.
Boring, dead, devoid of energy, but they are responsible. Is it possible to be responsible and not to be normal?
Yes.
Is it possible to have so much fun that out of that fun and that energy, responsibility is handled easily? Where responsibility became response-ability, the ability to respond instead of responsibility, the limitations of life. See, limits are incredibly valuable. See, without this glass and its limits, I couldn't drink that. It would just go through my fingers. Without the limits of the glass, I wouldn't be able to taste this liquid. It would just go through my fingers. There'd be nothing to transfer it. So some of us would say, I need to be responsible. Grab onto that glass so hard. Other people just say, wow, here's an opportunity. Okay, done that. What's next? Some people have to hold onto the glass every moment. Stare at the glass. Make sure the glass doesn't tip over. Funny thing, you set it down, it'll just be fine. Now, somebody might knock it over. It's true. But if they do, you could fill it back up.
Or what I used to do is get upset.
Yes. No, that's, yeah, give her a hand, ladies and gentlemen. Give her a hand for that. How would you get upset? What would you get upset over? What glass is being knocked over?
It doesn't have to be a glass.
Yes, I know.
It could be anything.
Yes, that's good. That's encouraging. When your rule is anything, then it gets to happen a lot.
Yeah.
Then you get to be upset a lot. If your rule is every day above ground is a great day, how do you know you're successful if I look down and see him above ground? Somebody with that kind of rule is going to be happy how often?
All the time.
Somebody who's got, if this happens or that happens or this doesn't happen or that doesn't happen or if this happens this way or it happens that way or if this happens or if that tips over or if that occurs or if this happens or if that occurs, happy or angry, which one? Angry will eventually become sad because you can't take the tension of anger forever, so then you're going to get sad and depressed. Then sad and depressed will become too bad when you feel like you're going to die, and then eventually you get angry. And when you're done being angry with yourself, you'll have to be able to see that it's not you because you can't take it anymore, so you'll externalize that anger to someone else, usually the person closest to you and who is most safe. And you will treat them in ways you would not treat a stranger because it's not safe to do that. And so now you abuse the very person you supposedly love the most, starting with yourself. So what things would be like tipping over the glass for you?
Certain tones or look of, facial looks. Or,
What kind of looks?
Different facial expressions.
Different facial expressions? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Different sort of approaches that Kieran would touch. Some touch would just set me off.
Which touch would set you off?
Usually when he tried to, be intimate with me, it would just annoy me.
Annoy you. And why were you being annoyed by him wanting to be intimate with you?
Because I felt like I couldn't be myself.
And why couldn't you be yourself?
Because I had to be responsible.
That's right. Who taught you this responsibility thing? Where does that blueprint come from?
I think it comes from, obviously, my parents, but my dad was a great guy.
Yes.
But,
Happy?
no, neither of my parents were really happy when I was growing up. They were quite unhappy.
Great.
Lots of arguments.
Wonderful.
He never, held down a job or anything like that, and so it was quite unstable that way.
Yes.
And so it was my mum that had to be the provider.
Yes. Have you had to be the provider in your relationship?
No, I mean, Kieran's a phenomenal provider, and yet, I feel like I should be. I feel like I should be doing more. I should be providing, contributing more, financially. And
Do you need her to contribute more financially? No.
therein lies I think
So your model of the world is, I have to contribute financially in a significant way, and therefore I'm not, therefore I am worthless and not worthy of love. So even if he's loving me, get away from me. He couldn't really be loving me because I don't deserve it.
yeah, bit screwed, really.
A bit. Now she's going back to being British. A bit screwed. No, completely screwed.
But when I met Kieran, and sorry, I'm going to do the meta report, but when I first met
Thanks for the warning. By the way, gentlemen, does that help for us to be warned that it's a meta report? How many men, when she said that, actually smiled inside? Let me see your hands. Say aye. And what happened inside you? You went, okay, I need to breathe a little bit. We're going to... What'd you think? I don't have to fix anything. Wow, that's good. I don't have to fix anything. Good, because there's going to be no point. Okay, cool. Let's go. But how many of you men now actually feel a little excitement when she said that? Let me see that. Felt excited. Ladies, I want you to see what we've accomplished here. Now, here's the secret to keeping men excited about meta reports. Can't ever be more than 10 minutes. Ever. Unless you're dating, then it can make it to 15, but otherwise 10. Okay, if you've been together any beyond dating, it's 10. Now, if you can do 2 or 3 minute, 5 minute meta reports, you will have complete focus of your man. It is not that he doesn't care. It's just our database can only hold so much of a story without a point. He said, maybe we could work up to 10 minutes. So could you give us, do you think, I'm not going to be disrespectful, do you think you make a 3 to 5 minute meta report on this?
Yeah, so when I first met Kieran, I had a good job, I was, career-wise successful, and I felt that way. And when we moved to the United States, I didn't have that. And I lost a huge part of myself. Because by having that independence, I felt, I was able to be myself.
Now, here's what's really interesting. Is that yourself or is that your mother?
Well,
I want you to let that sink in before you answer.
It's my mom. Yeah, it's my mom.
Was your mom happy?
No.
And neither are you.
Happy. No, now I feel good. But
Yes. Give her a hand, ladies and gentlemen. Very nice.
But no, prior to half an hour ago, I was very, very unhappy. Very, very unhappy.
What's your mother's middle name?
McSeveny. McSeveny, yeah, it's Scottish.
McSeveny. Scottish. What does it mean?
It's it's a clan, it's Tartan.
Yes.
Tribe.
What's your grandmother's name?
My grandmother's name? I honestly don't know. Gran.
Was she happy?
Probably not. She lived in Scotland and her husband died which is cold and,
And by the way, you moved away from where it's cold and people died.
Yeah.
To where?
To the United States.
Where do you live in the United States?
Northern California, Bay Area.
I see. Somewhere in the clan there was an Agnes. Or you wouldn't have picked that name. You don't have to know who it was, but you know how it was. And Agnes was the one back in the days of Scotland when it was cold and dark and people died so easily, who had to be vigilant all the time. She's an archetype of a responsible woman who went through hell on earth every day of her life to keep everybody alive. There was no room to be Kez. Although even in those times, there were women that were Kezes. There were no Selenas in this woman's mind. In fact, she would think all these were people that didn't understand what life was really about. And these women died very, very heavy, hard lives. There were women at the same time that lived the same life of death, but somehow they had a Selena that was driving the show. And even the hard times she knew were a season, and that every season was serving a purpose. That the chapter that you'd been in, as painful as it was, served a purpose because it brought lessons you couldn't have had without the pain at that time. And Selena understands there's a time for pain and there's a time for pleasure. There's a time for joy. There's a time for happiness. There's a time for faith. There's a time for courage. There's a time for love. There's a time for sensuality. There's a time for sexiness. There's a time for romance. There's a time to be dark. There's a time to be light. In the Bible it says, for everything there is a time. Some people don't realize what time it is.
It's been winter.
Yes, I know. He's laughing too. It's been a long, dark winter, hasn't it? What season is it now?
Spring.
Yes. And that's what always follows winter. And that's true in your relationships, my friends, if you can dig underneath all of this. The longest, hardest winter will lead to the most beautiful spring of your life if you don't just stick it out. If you go deeper, if you dig in, if you step into your partner's shoes, and if you get underneath there, and if you know and you never lose sight of who they are, that's why one of those laws at the very top of our list here is to know the truth, know your partner's soul. Selena is the soul of this woman. That will never change, no matter what the season. It never has. But if you lose track of that, you'll think Agnes is the soul, when Agnes is just a set of behaviors that have gotten organized into a personality designed to try and serve a purpose that now is actually out of context. So can I talk to Agnes one final moment here?
I'll try and bring her out.
Oh, please let me chat with her just for a minute. Okay? Am I speaking to Agnes?
Yeah.
No, just Agnes. Agnes, a part of you might think you have not been appreciated right now. I want you to know I spoke to you and I asked permission to speak to you both in the beginning and now for a reason, because I know that you're there as a lifesaver when it's needed. There will be times in life when you will need to show up. But it's been a long winter from 2000 to 2009. And I think what happened was you think it's always winter. And when it's not, you make it winter. And I want you to know, I know your intent, and so does everyone in this room now, including your husband and Carrie. And there's not a person in here that doesn't hope to hell that they got a strong Agnes inside themselves for those moments when you're needed. So I want you to know I appreciate you. And your husband appreciates you. Agnes showed up, didn't she? Go ahead.
She was the one that had the strength when I had my accident back in 2006 and nearly killed myself in Colombia. She was the one that was my advocate, that needed to be there, that had the strength, that was with me every step of the way, that got me out of Colombia back to Miami, that spent 2 months with me in hospital before we even got back to the Bay Area, back to home. she was needed. Without that strength and that ability, just that responsibility, I may not be here.
Now you can come and hug Agnes and she won't leave. Agnes, you got a smile on you.
I do now.
Agnes has a smile. Agnes, I sense some joy in you.
Yeah, I feel nice and light, actually.
Yes. Agnes, what season is it?
The spring.
Give Agnes a hand for knowing what season we're in now. Agnes, you can be strong and happy.
I realize that now.
Give her a hand, ladies and gentlemen. And what can make you strong and happy is to know how appreciated you really are. Agnes has been walking around feeling unappreciated. And the truth is, there have been times Agnes has not been appreciated because it's like somebody you really enjoy and you invite them over to visit and they stay for 5 years. You enjoyed them for the first day or 2 or 3 or a week, or you love them dearly, but you didn't ask them to move in. And then Agnes starts feeling she's not appreciated because she's still here 9 years later. Agnes deserves to go play. Agnes, you need to retire so you can go play. You've been working your ass off, and that's why it's so heavy. And you did an incredible job at several stages, not only that one, but that was probably the most intense one. But what you need to know is, it wasn't that you were so responsible, it's that you were so loving and strong.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I know I'm an extremely, extremely loving and giving person. And that, I think, has been the hardest part for me.
Yes.
Either feeling that I'm not getting that and
Yes.
not able to give.
Yeah. Are you?
Am I giving as Agnes?
Now.
Yes, I am.
Are you receiving as Agnes? Because that's the other thing about Agnes is they don't receive. And when you don't receive, you saw I had nodding right there, then Agnes, when she doesn't receive, will feel unloved, and yet Agnes is blocking it. And what Agnes is trying to say is, break through to me and show me that I'm not only Agnes, that I'm Kaz, that I'm Selena, and then maybe even Chrissy. A little slut. But what Agnes can now know is you don't have to be sad because you're loved. You don't have to be sad because you are appreciated. You're respected. But it's also time for you to take a long vacation, because after 9 straight years of working every day and every night, it's time to have vacation. And Agnes needs to grow too, because the relationship's at another stage, a new stage, and your man is now a man, not just an adventurer.
Agnes feels like she's about 45 now. It's really nice.
Wow, she took 10 years off. Give her a hand, ladies and gentlemen. It's very nice. Give her a hand. And she'll feel even younger with each passing day. Because all of you in this room entered into a new world when you came here. It started when you came to your first event. It started to take root, that new world entered you probably at the time at the end of Dickens. It's a world where everything works in reverse. And everything that's been wound up unwinds. In that parallel world now that you've begun to enter in with me. Ever seen The Twilight Zone? In that world, you start out dead, and you begin life as an old person. Very quickly, they give you a gold watch and you go to work. You start out working less hard, and as time goes by, you work harder and harder and harder, and you become younger and younger as you do it. In this world, people that build bombs, the bombs that exploded come back up, reassemble into the plane, come back and get disassembled. And then they go back out into natural ingredients that back out in the environment. Not just the physical bombs, the mental, emotional, belief system bombs. And then you work and you work and you work and you work, and you get younger and younger and younger. And you laugh more and more at things that used to upset you. And pretty soon, you get to go to college. You start as a senior, and you move back to become more and more young and more curious. And you get curious with each other, too. And you're not so sure of each other, so there's more interest and playfulness. And you get younger and younger, and you finally go back to high school, where you play even more than college, some of you. And then if you're really good, you get to go back to grade school. Pretty soon you're in kindergarten. And then now all you do is play full time. That's your job. Play full time. They call you Aggie. Agnes. And you laugh, you play, and you giggle for no reason. And every day you feel younger. Every day. You wake up each morning so excited for another day. So excited. You feel so grateful. And you have some friends you laugh and giggle with. And you do stupid things and you don't care that it's stupid. In fact, it's not. Because you no longer have a blueprint called stupid. You just have a blueprint called discover and play. And then you play doctor. And it's not bad. It's just interesting and fun and new and unique and, well, maybe a little bad, but that kind of feels good too. If no adults are around. And there aren't at this stage because you've gotten younger and all you're surrounded with is kids who are having fun. And then you get younger and younger, and pretty soon you can't even talk. You just make sounds. Men's idea of heaven. And then you end life being held and cradled. And then the very end of life is you're a twinkle in your mother and father's eyes. And that's how life ends. And then you go back and you're with God. You are the twinkle in everyone's eyes. You up for this, Agnes?
Very much so.
Life of joy?
Oh, yeah.
Will you be responsible to make sure that Kez and Chrissy reconnect?
Yes.
And
I'm
Celine?
introducing them now.
Good, I can see that. And Selena too?
Yeah, definitely.
Since you've been in charge, do you ever play the game where you roll around, and one person's in the middle, and then when you're in the middle, you pick the next person, and they jump in the middle? Since you've been in the middle, who's going to run the show now?
I think Selena for a while.
Yes, I think so too. I think that's a very wise choice. Can I ask her if she's willing to take it on? Well, you ask her. Go ask her if she's willing to take on. Ask her if she's willing to be it. But what it means is, Kaz and Chrissy got to be getting a much bigger set. Selena's smart enough to do that, though, isn't she?
Yeah.
And Carrie over here, she's got to remember that she's filled with a sisterhood. And she's not alone. She was real alone because she thought she went to a new place, and that new place was she's alone, and what she really did is she just shut off from her sisters. If her sisters were alive inside of her, she'd never be alone. That and God. Do you have a dog?
A cat.
A cat.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you ever have dyslexia?
I don't think so.
Did you ever have a dog?
Yes.
What was his name?
Laddie.
Laddie?
Oh,
Seems appropriate for a Scottish dog. Laddie?
But that was when I was a child. And
That's
then,
good. That's the one I want.
Yeah, yeah.
Laddie.
Laddie, yeah.
Laddie's with you now. How much joy did you have when you were with Laddie?
Oh, lots of joy. Yeah, very much so.
Then who's going to take care of Laddie? Oh. Agnes has a job. Will Agnes take care of Laddie?
Oh, yeah, certainly.
Would she enjoy being with Laddie?
Yes, I think so.
Would they be great friends?
Yes. Walk him.
What would Laddie? That's right. She'd be responsible to walk him. That's exactly
Think of his poop.
Think of his poop. There we go. Think of his poop. So will she do that?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Because Laddie's going to bring Agnes the spirit that she needs. So her vacation time does include some responsibilities. She's to step into the energetic part of this universe and world where Laddie is alive and well, but still needs love and attention. And Laddie's a dog, so if you were dyslexic, what species is Laddie?
God.
So Agnes's job is to take care of the dog. Okay, Laddie? Would you please let Selena see if she's willing to take on the ball? Go just have a little visit with her. I know she's been listening to this whole conversation. Go check in with her and see if she's willing to take charge and have fun.
She's a little nervous, but I think she's well up for the challenge.
But tell her that you're back here and you believe in her.
She knows that, yeah.
Okay, good. Ask Kaz if it's cool if Selena takes over.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's cool.
Good. I need to speak to Chrissy before I go. I'd like to speak to Chrissy. You might have to get out of the chair.
I know, I was just thinking that.
Yes, I thought so. So I'd like to speak to Chrissy because she's not been around for a while. Am I speaking to Chrissy?
I think so.
No, I don't know if it was Chrissy. That's Chrissy in and out with Kez and Selena hanging out, all three of them. There's nothing wrong with that, but I need to speak to Chrissy. Selena, do I have permission to speak to Chrissy?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Kez, you cool with that? Mm-hmm. Agnes, you cool with me speaking with Chrissy?
Agnes is with the dog.
Oh, she's with the dog. Which means with God. Good. Okay. So, Chrissy, I'd like to speak with you for a minute. I stopped so he keeps his pants on. Stop, quickly. Give him a hand. Chrissy. Chrissy, where you been, babe?
Obviously not in the right place. I should have been in the bed. Or in the back of the car.
Or in the back of the car. Look at what you're doing to this man, Chris. Look at him. Look at him. Look at the energy coming out of this man. Look at his face. Look at that smile. He's not usually a man to get embarrassed, is he? Not really. But he's not even embarrassed. He's just like alive. He's wired. So, Chrissy, question for you. Now that Agnes is with the dog, and Kez is out there too, and Selena, and they want you to be here with them, and they want you to take charge a bit. Are you willing to take charge? How does it feel to be back out?
Feels good.
Yeah.
I have to go and get some KY.
That's that Chrissy. She has a hard time expressing her true feelings. Chrissy, you know how to make things happen, don't you?
Oh, yes.
Yes, and by the way, Carrie's been needing you for a long time. She needs help, that girl. Would you agree?
I agree.
So, are you back fully?
Yes, I think so.
Yes, 0 to 10. How much are you back now, Chrissy? Now, 0 to 10.
I'd say 9.
Great. What has to happen for you to be a 10? Does Carrie have to invite you so you know you're fully appreciated?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, because you don't want to push yourself on her, although you will.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand. So first of all, look how happy everyone is that you're back. Just look how happy, how much you're desired, appreciated, and loved and adored and hungered for. Look how hungered for you are, Chrissy. Yeah. She gets it. So then let's do this, Chrissy. You love Selena?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Do you love Kez?
Yes.
She thinks that you're a little competitive with her sometimes. Is it true?
Yeah.
Yes.
Because, she's fun and stuff, and she's got little girlish qualities about her that Chrissy, she doesn't.
Yes,
She's
I
all
understand.
that.
She's more direct. Like, get the KY versus Kez would say, do you think we might want to stop at the department store?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, got it. So let's talk to Carrie for a second, if I may. Will you just hang out here for a moment? Mm-hmm. Cool. I'd like to speak to Carrie. Hey, Carrie.
Hey, how are you?
Do you ever have a nickname, Carrie?
Another nickname?
What's your nickname? Carrie. Does Carrie have a nickname?
Well, my nickname is Kez. So that is,
So maybe Carrie is Kez and she just forgot.
I think so.
Wow. Something to think about. Maybe the nickname is really me, and the name was some formality. And I started to become the formality instead of me. That must be only you.
I'm sure.
So maybe Carrie wasn't fully inviting Chrissy in because she felt a little competitive with her because Carrie's really Kez. Oh. And Carrie being Kez didn't feel fully accepted, so she got scared, so she pulled in Agnes for reinforcements. But maybe Carrie, as Kez, forgot that they're one and the same and that Chrissy is part of Kez. Ooh. And Kez is part of Chrissy. Let's explore a moment. Because we haven't been doing that very much today. Where does Kez live in your body? Point to the first response. Where does Kez live in your body? Right here. In your heart. Yeah. So if you're not being Kez, you're not being in your heart. That would explain a lot. Where is Carrie, the alter ego of Kez, the appropriate Kez, the fake Kez, the formal Kez? Right here.
In the head.
In the head. Where's Chrissy? Further south.
Yes.
Okay, got it. Okay. Where's Selena?
She sort of feels a bit all over the
That's right.
place.
Selena's all over.
Yeah.
And flowing. Soul. Where was Agnes stuck?
On my butt.
That's funny because he thought that's where she was living, was on his. On his ass all the time. Where's Agnes now?
She's here too.
Yeah.
She's here too in my heart.
Yeah, I know, I can feel it. Where's Chrissy? Good, so now I want you to make sure that the energy between your heart and Chrissy is so strong. Because thinking those are separate is one of the ways Chrissy got left in the cold. Or the hot, depending upon how you look at it. Close your eyes. Go up and unmask Carrie in the head. And when you unmask her, you'll see, who is she really? There you go. Who is she really?
She's someone who's very loving, caring, and she's just wonderful.
If you put an Olympic sprinter in mud, how fast are they?
Very fast.
When you put Carrie in your head instead of in your heart where she belongs. So close your eyes and invite her back into your heart. Let her know she can visit your head whenever it's needed, but she doesn't have to live there. And that there's easy access to your head. So she has no fear. But she's not nurtured in your head. The head is a place to visit, like a library. You go when you need something. Or Google. Google's very helpful. You can get it when you want it. But many of you, when you go to Google, you get 8 million entries that distract you and they don't have relevance whatsoever to what you're really looking for. And some of you then get frustrated and just keep Googling, getting more and more things that distract you and they don't want what you want. I suggest Google's out of date. Something new is coming. And it's already in your head. It's an intelligent browser that understands the head is something to browse, grab what you want, and get out. Take what you need back to the heart and decide what to do from there. So with Carrie in your heart, what's her name there?
Polly.
Polly?
Polly.
Polly. Oh, that's great. Polly. One more I want to manage. Polly. So now that Polly's there, I have a really important question. With Polly in your heart, how does life feel? Selena's all over. Chrissy's down under. Kez is Carrie. Polly's in the heart. Agnes is in the heart, playing with the dog and God. Retired, having always been there. If she's ever needed, she'd be available. She's a wise one. How does it feel to have Polly in your heart?
freeing,
Yeah.
fun. Like I can do anything.
How does Polly feel about your husband?
Oh, he loves him very much. Yeah, loves him.
How does Kez feel about your husband?
Loves him. Wants to have fun with him.
How does he feel about Polly, and how does he feel about Kez?
I love them all.
How does he feel about Agnes? I think he told us. He's so grateful to Agnes. How does he feel about Selena? He loves them all. How does he feel about Chrissy? I think we all know that. Just look at the face. You can bring up Chrissy's name. Look at that. It's like to bring up the name. It's like, Chrissy. Oh. You know, you could continue to be known as Carrie. That's right. You might even every now and then, in case he doesn't notice, give him a clue. Say, honey, you're not talking to Carrie right now. You're talking to Polly. He'll know when Chrissy's here, that's clear. Might have to point out Selena because she's really elegant. When I met my wife, she told me her name was Bonnie. I looked at her and I went, we've just been together a short time, and I said, you don't seem like a Bonnie to me. And she said, I've never felt like I'm a Bonnie. I said, well, I'm just curious, you know? You got so many different parts of you. And who are you? I mean, what would be a name? If you were to pick a name, what would you pick? And she said, Sage. I said, then you're my Sage. That's how she got her name, Sage. That was her nickname. And so I got to know Sage. This incredibly diverse, magical woman. Had such strength and beauty and humor and spirit and soul. And I called her that each day, and then she became my sweetheart, my love, my girl, my woman. Eventually I had the privilege of my wife, my pudding bob. And I met Billy the Kid. Holy shit. And I met other parts of her too. I met these gentle parts and these scared parts and these happy parts and these playful parts. And they all were involved with all these different personalities. Then I met Lexi. Ooh. I remember one time I was in Australia, we're doing a seminar. There's Lexi, and then she has an even larger personality. And there was a man in the room, and there was a woman really hurting. She was actually suicidal. You guys were there. And he had a chance to really help her, and he got into his ego, and he was leaving this woman out in the cold, and I was so angry that he would do this to this woman, and I was going to take a strip off of him. But then I thought, you know what? I don't need to, because my wife will do it with one sentence. And so sure enough, we came back, we talked to her. I said, I'm going to go handle him. She goes, well, let me handle him. I thought, oh, I don't know if I want him to have that much pain. And so she went over and had a very direct conversation with this young man. And the next morning, he raised his hand to share. And I called on him. And he was like, Mr. Robbins, he said, you know, you talked about your wife having all those personalities. And he said, last night, I met Lexi. And all I can say is, you're a brave man. But one of the reasons our relationship was so beautiful is because I felt all the parts of me were loved by my wife. And I know she knows every part of her is loved by me. And when you love all a person's parts, when no part is wrong, When the parts that are needy are still loved, instead of saying you're needy. When the parts that are intense are not tried to be less intense. They're appreciated, that they have their place. That's when a relationship becomes a love affair like no other. In order to love those parts of her, I had to love parts of me, and vice versa. She loved parts of me I would never love within myself. And her loving them since I loved her made me be able at least to appreciate them. And we both have become more whole by being together. And yet we can also then step back out into our polarities or step in or switch. There's no you should be a certain way. We just recognize that we're all these parts and that we attracted each other because those parts are also in each other. I got a Billy the Kid in me, and she has a tone in her. She's got an Einstein in her. She calls me Einie. She's the most brilliant woman I know. But she calls me Einstein. That's because that part of her is so alive. All the parts coming together, all the parts loved. Probably the greatest thing I have to translate for you because it's in man speak. For him to say, I love all the parts of her, is to say, I worship her. Look at him right now. But he still speaks in man speak, so you might miss those words till he learns them. Because most men do not love all parts. In fact, he loved Agnes. He just didn't know how to make her happy. He appreciates and respects every part of you. That's not something that you can get in 3 or 6 or 9 months when all the chemicals are flowing. Because then all you do is fall in love with your fantasy. You can have that too, she says. That's so true. But you ever notice how fantasy is never as good, or reality never seems as good as fantasy? It's not true when you accept all the parts. Then reality is greater than fantasy. There's something you need to tell him. I don't know what it is, but I know you do.
I know I've been a bitch. I know I've done some hurtful things. But I would never, ever intentionally hurt you. I really wouldn't. At the beginning of the week, I heard Tony and Sage saying, they'd die for each other. And I was questioning that in myself for you. But I know I would die for you. But I didn't.
What would you like to say to her?
Oh, thank you, darling.
Isn't darling a beautiful name? Thank you, darling.
I would say even when she was a bitch, I didn't see her that way. I still loved her. And I could see what was inside. Even though you didn't bring out the other aspects, I knew they were in there. And that's all I wanted. And all I want is for you to be happy. And I worship you.
What if she's not happy?
I'll make her happy.
What if she doesn't want to be happy?
I'll just be there for her.
That's the answer. Ladies, make some noise so he knows that's the right answer.